awkward handshake in my life. Gentlemen, first of all, everybody, welcome back to the Xpand podcast. This is your host, Zarin Beatty. We are doing round 2 right here with Matt, Xian.
Mm-hmm.
How many other ways can you pronounce it?
Xian. Those are the main 3.
It's beautiful. I love it. I'm learning new things right now with
Mhm.
Matt, Xian, and Steven Samadhi right here in Austin, Texas. One of my favorite cities in the freaking world. You both drove here from San Antonio, Texas. I am extremely grateful for that, for you both to make that trip, to be here willing to record 2 episodes back to back. It's really not that easy if you really think about it. It does take a lot of brain power and patience and energy to do this kind of stuff. So thank you both. We just finished off the one with Steven. Now we're with you, my man.
What's up? Thanks for
Welcome
having
here.
us. Yeah, pleasure. Glad to be back. You know, chilling with you and the Xpand vibe.
The Xpand vibe.
Oh yeah.
I met you, man. I think it was 2 years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And I met you during the graduation for the very first Aubrey Marcus Go For Your Win course.
Oh yeah.
And literally, dude, ever since then, like, you've been a huge impact on me as a person, Xpand as a business, our audience, our community, our content. Like, you've been a huge influence, dude.
Wow. Thank you. It's a pleasure. I mean, I love to do the work we're doing. It was awesome to meet you that day. You know, should we talk about how we met?
Let's do it.
So I'm recording footage of the Aubrey Marcus Go For Your Win graduation with my buddy CT. Big shouts to him for always involving me in these great events he's putting together. Light Pump. And I'm taking a little break, and I see this guy smoking on a massive joint, and I'm like, whoa, I've never seen a joint that big. I get a little closer, I realize, oh, it's not a joint, it's actually Mopacho. Because I actually knew what that was because of my work with the Aubrey Marcus ayahuasca film. They talk about Mopacho quite a bit.
Yeah, it can be mistaken as a joint pretty easily.
You were the Mopacho god, though, dude. You must have had, how many did you have? 5?
I always bring a bunch when I travel to kind of give my appreciation for the area. You know, when I land, I'll smoke one tonight. We'll smoke one after this whole podcast.
I'd love to.
It's sacred tobacco from the rainforest for people who don't know. And it's pure tobacco leaf from the Amazon jungle. And it's applied in ceremony down there for a plethora of reasons that I'm unable to even comprehend. But through my experiences, I've been able to build a pretty beautiful relationship with it. It's medicine, and it'll show us signs and symbols and messages, whether they're internal or something to pay attention to that we may not have really seen. So it's pretty cool that's a big part of my life, man, the Mopacho. So for have you to come up and meet me during a moment like that, I was smoking one with Aubrey Marcus, and he was super chill and dope to, you know, want to smoke one with me because they were from Spirit Quest, and a place that we've both been to for other ayahuasca ceremonies. But
did you go there because of him, or had you both gone?
We heard about it because he came back on the Joe Rogan podcast.
Oh, okay.
I'm pretty sure 487.
Cool. So he inspired your Soul Quest adventure. Very cool.
He did in a lot of different ways. Definitely he inspired it with ayahuasca.
Mm-hmm.
You know, naturally he's a pioneer, man.
That's how I heard of him, ayahuasca, on the Joe Rogan podcast. He was one of the most descriptive, poetic, well spoken people, similar to Terrence McKenna, on ayahuasca at the time. I don't know if he talks as much about it. You know, he does a range of topics on his podcast now, but I remember that's how I learned of him for sure and became a big fan, was his talks around ayahuasca, specifically on Joe Rogan. But I was lucky enough to interview him twice for a podcast I used to do, and that's how I kind of got to know him a little bit. So we used to do the Psychedelic Spirituality podcast back in the day before TimeWheel. That was the original like kind of organization I worked with until like once I kind of had an awakening and wanted to get involved and start networking with like-minded individuals. That was like the first kind of group that accepted me and said, "Hey, come on in," and you know what I mean? Like, actually, I was already working with DMT, the Spirit Molecule director and producer Mitch Shultz. So I guess it'd be the second kind of organization that I worked with. But yeah, Aubrey Marcus is a good guy, man. He's always
He
entertaining
really
and
is.
inspiring.
He puts in the work, man. He legitimately puts in the work, and it shows through his character. It shows through his presence. You can't fake work. You
Hmm.
really can't.
And you're here for something to do with his latest
Yeah.
project, right?
Yeah, well, I'm a part of the Fit for Service mastermind group,
Very
and it's
cool.
a year-long mastermind where there's a little over 100 people kind of like collected in this full group of people. And like the guy that was in here earlier, Pat Divley, he's from Ireland. So it's just cool to meet these
Wow.
people from all around the world coming together for this.
Hmm.
And it's funny, man. It's funny that our relationship, how we can just very naturally kind of coast into our discussion. And I would love to bring up, dude, like like what you're doing with Time Wheel and your own music. We talked about Steven's music, but your music and your company and working on DMT, the Spirit Molecule, and
Hmm.
working on the Aubrey Marcus documentary and knowing Mitch Schultz. And did you have like truly like an incredible platform and resume? It's it's incredible, dude. And I think that's why, at least from my end, there's a mutual respect because I really appreciate the work that you've put in your path and like what you're able to configure with your own journey, dude, and to kind of come together as a group of people right here and see that similar path and appreciate the similar concepts. It's heartwarming. Like you both mean a lot to me.
Dude, much love, my brother. Absolutely. Yeah, it's been quite a journey, We spoke on the last podcast a little bit about how it began, and it began with what I call my Kundalini awakening, right? Like those can be seen in many different ways, but essentially, I didn't know what was happening to me when it was happening. I just knew that I felt different in a big way, and I was seeing things I never saw before, and I was having very easy meditation experiences without really trying. And it guided me down this path of research, and what I kept coming to is Kundalini. Kundalini is what you're experiencing. Kundalini is the energy that you're referencing, or that sounds like what you described or what I was going through. And so yeah, I had already been a practitioner of yoga just from college, getting my kinesiology credit, and I was like, what's the one that most resembles who I am? And I'm not really a bodybuilder, not really a basketball player, not really like soccer or anything like that. So I just said, oh, yoga sounds cool. But I didn't know of the mystical lineage and history of yoga. So I go through this whole yoga course and come out feeling pretty good, but still have no idea what a mystical experience is. So then, we have the Kundalini awakening in a field in a park, and it's essentially a DMT experience. Is the best way to describe it to people that are familiar with psychedelics. And yeah, from then on, it was like this opening, and I was like, oh, I need to be involved with the community
Hmm.
that knows about this, because that's my home. Because I
Mm,
don't belong to these other people. I don't
interesting.
feel the same that I used to feel. I don't feel drawn towards this life. I feel drawn towards something else.
Hmm.
So,
That sounds like a very beautiful way to describe evolution. Like you went from like body kind of stuff into like energy and like soul and spiritual.
mm-hmm.
And it's interesting how people progress down that path. I was super deep into like real like working out physically for a decade. And then there was just this switch over where it's way more focused on meditation and movement and timing and breathing and syncing up your systems and how you embody the experience, how not just how you build muscle. There's a big difference there.
Mm-hmm.
And for you, this was about 8 years ago,
That's
right?
right. 8 years ago was when the shift, took place, I would say.
Dude, the amount of work that can be done in 8 years is truly remarkable.
Absolutely. You just have to do it every day. I tell all my friends that. I tell everyone that ever comes to me at all for any type of advice or inspiration or just collaboration at all, and they say, "Oh, well, like, how did you do this?" I kept showing up every day. That's it. It's easy.
And then what would be the right term? Created Bodaishin?
Yeah. So we started. So TimeWheel is the main company. It's like the kind of a flagship operation, and TimeWheel began as a collective of musicians, but then we also founded a blog on the website. And on that blog, we would explore and discover and share what was inspiring us at that time, which was a lot of Kundalini related content, a lot of mystical related content, things that were of the, I might say, mystical nature, and art, music, and articles around that. Eventually, once we saw quite a bit of success, we said, let's narrow our focus with TimeWheel and let's turn it into a media company. So, um, the music, podcasts, film, shows all stayed with TimeWheel, but the kind of mystical aspect, we branched into a new brand, like kind of a sub brand, and that would be called Bodaishin. Bodaishin is also kind of like our code name for the studio for where we teach, which is really just our house or in the park, but presented by Bodaishin, right?
That's cool.
So I would say Bodaishin kind of is like yogic inspiration and events.
Would you please let people know the meaning behind that word because it is so dang beautiful?
Mm-hmm. So Bodaishin is Japanese for Bodhisattva, which is pretty common knowledge to those that have researched, Buddhism, and it means inspiration towards enlightenment for the benefit of all sentient beings.
Dude, since the first day I met you, you told me what that meant, and that has stuck with me ever since then. It holds so much like light, gravity. It's such a pure word, such a pure essence of behavior that when people really do their best to dial down a meaningful phrase or word to align with what they're doing, it shows a lot to me as a person from where they're coming from. And for you guys to choose and to resonate with that concept, dude, that's just right up my alley, man. I knew honestly then that I wanted to be your friend. No joke.
Yeah.
I'm just like, dude, you're onto something here.
Yeah. Thank you, man. Yeah. It's a blessing to be able to think of these things, you know what I mean? Just to be pulled in their direction. Cuz the things themselves are what's pulling me, you know what I mean? It's the fact that they exist, the fact that the experiences like this exists is what's drawing me like a moth to a flame to that. So, it's really about the experiences, and that's why we like to share that with people and teach people how to do that, and I don't consider myself a teacher. We kind of talked about that in the last one, because we're just teaching people how to breathe. If you can breathe right, you can access this, but you can do a couple postures, and you can honestly achieve more on your own than with a teacher. Like,
Mm.
I love teachers because they set you on a path, but then I think the deepest moments that you encounter are when you're by yourself practicing, because you're not holding space for others, you're holding space for yourself.
Mm-hmm. There's a big difference in the energy being expressed from you when other people are around. I've
Mm-hmm.
noticed this with cold exposure. Like so we've, as you guys have seen,
Oh yeah.
it blew up in Boise. And we were jumping in the Boise River in the middle of winter pretty regularly. And it got to the point where there was a lot of pretty new people coming. So now there was a part of me that switched internally that wasn't so much focusing on the moment, the present moment for me, but for the present moment of the whole group and making sure like everything was kind of going smooth, not in a
Right.
controlling manner, but and just a level of awareness. And it's different when you are in that kind of environment, and then when you're doing that by yourself, you're really sinking into the moment, to the experience with comfort and confidence that like you're gonna be okay. As long as you follow like a guideline, like you're gonna be okay. Then what can you learn without the influence of anybody else?
Right. Yep. I've definitely, I get deep moments all the time, with others around, without others around. But certainly I find like the most kind of um, deep moments are, when you're by yourself. You're doing yoga for yourself. You're not doing it because you're leading a class. You're not doing it because,
Hmm.
someone needs you to do it to teach them. It's just, well, I feel away right now. Yoga's calling me. I'm going to go do yoga. Me and Steven, he actually introduced me to the amazing benefits of the steam room.
Mhm.
And I've become quite, attracted to the steam room and to do that quite regularly. And it's always such a blessing when you're like the one dude in the steam room, It's like you get in there and it's like it's all you.
Mm.
There's a beautiful resonance that happens in the steam room we go to, so you can do mantra and let that kind of vibration just like ring
Oh
out, kind of like
man.
cave-like.
Wow.
And the sweat, it's very intense. You could still do a little bit of breath work in there. Steven's better at the breath work in the steam room than me, but I'm learning. So I'll step out. Like sometimes what I do is I'll step out of the steam room. I'll sit in the steam room for 10 minutes, step out, do like a round of Wim Hof breath. Shout out to Wim. Awesome, inspirational guy. I love Wim. And then I'll come back in and be charged up, So how did you learn about Wim?
Joe Rogan.
I learned about him from the Vice documentary, which I thought
Okay.
was really good. You
Yeah,
saw it?
I did see that. Yeah,
Yeah.
it was that was a while after his first episode with Rogan, I think.
Mm-hmm.
That changed my life, dude. That first episode, he was dropping knowledge and sharing his experiences, and I was just like, what is this person capable of? Immediately intrigued, man. And yeah, since then, dude, I've been doing the cold exposure and the breathing and everything, and that was multiple years ago. It's funny how we talked about this even earlier, but how we get put on our path, and how one thing can just happen out of fucking nowhere, and all of a sudden here's a new, completely different realm for us to experience now, incorporate in our own life. It's pretty cool.
100%.
It's a blessing, man.
Yep. We're in a new age, It's an exciting time to be alive. I'd say the most exciting time yet. And, before I kind of had this like awakening or understanding of stuff, you always kind of like, I mean, at least me, I was like in one of those places where it's like, hey, if I like smoking weed, like, man, I should have been alive in the 60s and 70s when this was legal and there was a movement about it and all that. And um, now look at what's happening. That was 10 years ago. We wouldn't have expected that MDMA would be nearly legal by now, that weed would be legal in almost every state for medical, and probably 5-10 states now recreational. Like it was all, we thought that the future was doomed, like that they're just going to keep this stuff not available for public consumption and put you in jail if you have a medicine that's very powerful, can do a lot of healing for a lot of people. So it's a great time to be alive for the renaissance of consciousness.
That's such a perfect way to put it. The renaissance of consciousness.
Mm-hmm.
We're here.
The Rock.
Renaissance.
Welcome to The Rock, the renaissance of consciousness. Dang, that's hard.
That's pretty solid, actually.
That's 5-star.
It's 5-star.
That's how I come up with brands. I just start saying stuff, and then
and he says,
Renaissance of Consciousness, ROC. Let's make a new brand, bro.
That's hilarious. What so with TimeWheel, what's your direction with it? And first of all, I love the art, man. I love the music. I love the post. I love your community, dude. With every page you manage, with everything you do, Like, your network, bro, freaking blows me away. It blows me away. And I've said this to you before, and it's I don't know, man. It's cool to meet people like you who have a community of people that you're around, resonate with your message, and still be able to sit here and be like a person with you. And you're just another dude trying to push things further in a, a healthy way, man. This is like one of the best things about podcasting and being on this path is we get to meet people like the both of you. It's cool.
Absolutely. It is. It's very cool. It's been a wild ride, but I would say similar to what I said earlier is about consistency, like the fact that I have been able to build communities and be a part of that has just been that I feel drawn towards the movement of expanding consciousness. I just think that it's the next frontier and expand. Absolutely. That's why I'm drawn towards you. I've already told you this on the phone and stuff. It's like I trust your brand, I trust your vision, I trust whatever you're up to, and I want to be involved and share the love.
I had a quick little
Much love.
I just had a quick little thing is like I didn't even mention earlier, but I was drawn to Zarin just through a video. You know what I mean? I could feel your aura. Your aura was shining through. And honestly, that's the official way. As I saw his promotional video for Xpand, got me charged up, emailed him, and we were in contact within 30 minutes. But I had to throw that out there. We are freaking connected, man. We love you.
I love you both, and shout out
love.
to Casey Levins for doing that video.
That was a killer video.
Because that literally brought us all so much closer, and who would have known one day of production could have bonded relationships even further. And it goes back to like your growth inspires the growth of other people, and whether it's naturally or forced, it uplifts that whole frequency. So thank you both for growing. Thank you for being fucking crazy, Steven.
Absolutely.
TimeWheel.
TimeWheel is it's our record label. Started as a collective, had a blog, got some kind of viral articles and content shared around, and built a community. Now we're really focused on music, film, and shows. So pretty much we're a media platform. If we like your music, film, or show, we want to be involved with it. We want to host it. We want to feature it. We want to put a spotlight on it, and continue bringing like-minded media together in a really cool place. It's almost like the psychedelic HBO. I kind of think of it like that.
I like that. That's cool.
Obviously, we don't have the budget HBO has, but we're getting there. The content is good. The content is good.
It is good. It's solid.
And I stand behind all the music we're putting out, and I hope people stand behind the music I'm putting out. And as far as like my solo project Xian and my band Something Fiction, which is all on TimeWheel, and as the founder, of course, we were the first project to be signed to the label.
Naturally.
But we drew a lot of people to us because our music was different. It was weird and electronic and psychedelic and kind of indie, and we started networking with people, just trying to share the message of the music, and met a lot of people. I think we met Mitch through the music. I think we met Mitch Shultz through me sharing music with him, and this documentary that I did actually called Breaching Area 51, where we went to Area 51 in the Nevada desert as 16-year-olds with my drummer's dad, who was a super awesome adventurer. Shout out Mr. Ed. And he took, his two sons and me to Area 51. And we got some crazy footage. If you want to see it, YouTube, Breaching Area 51. You'll see it says Something Fiction there. So that'll be the one. I sent those over to Mitch, and he said, "Hey, let's have a meeting. Let's meet up." And I ended up becoming an intern for him, doing a lot of like media wrangling, as we used to call it, and getting coffee and, being just the kind of general hands-on assistant guy. And eventually that turned into, hey, Matt, can you run my Facebook page? I'm too busy. And I say, okay, sure. And just put a lot into running that page. You know what I mean? I just showed up every day and said, this is a great opportunity. I can't let Mitch down. And built the page up and made a lot of contacts in the process of doing that. Met Aubrey Marcus through the collaboration with Mitch Shultz. I was the kind of like B-roll sifter through the ayahuasca film and the Wachuma film. I was like labeling stuff, putting them in folders for people to go edit, that type of thing. So,
would you please, for people who don't know, which I'm sure it's a lot of people, kind of describe who Mitch Shultz is?
Absolutely. So, Mitch is the director of the film DMT, The Spirit Molecule. I heard of that shortly after my kind of awakening and research into Kundalini and psychedelics and the things known to bring about this type of awareness. And on the front page of Netflix is DMT, The Spirit Molecule, and I must have watched it 3 times, and just become a fan of the film. And then I follow the film on Facebook, and eventually there's an opportunity where he's like, send us stuff, send us what you got. And so I send him some stuff, and I meet up with him. And Steven was with me the day I met him. Steven drove up to Austin with me, and we call it the secret stairwell. And there's this secret stairwell up to Mitch's office, and we go in, and quite honestly, I didn't know I was going to be meeting Mitch. I thought I was going to be meeting some like kind of like intern interviewer, like, oh, you can't meet Mitch yet. You got to get past me first. But Mitch was sitting there, and he was like, hey, and I was like, whoa, like, damn, I'm with Mitch Shultz, and we had a great conversation, and he's a really cool guy. He's a filmmaker and a visionary, and really awesome soul, really cool soul brother.
You know him pretty well, and I won't share any of the details that you said earlier, but what, like, for real, what kind of person is he to do what he's done? What kind of persona does he uphold?
I think, it's the balance between being very childlike and then being very like director. He's a director, like he sees the way it needs to get done. He's very good at directing and saying, hey, let's do it this way. But then he doesn't want to be too serious, so he's very childlike, and he has a lot of laughter in him, very cool guy. Hard to describe, like you really just have to experience it.
And then you mentioned that working with Mitch, you were able to meet Aubrey and then meet Alex Gray, and
right.
like, I mean, kind of, and then history kind of just happened in a sense. What how was meeting Alex Gray? I know you said this story earlier, but it's pretty beautiful.
It was great. So meeting Alex Gray, it came about here in Austin. We were here for the Austin premiere of a film called A New Understanding, The Science of Psilocybin, which Mitch was a producer on, and which was a project of our agency to promote the film. And so we're here just going to watch the film. Everyone's kind of showing up, and then I just see, whoa, Alex Gray just walked in, I know who he is because I'm a big fan of Tool, and I'm a big fan of visionary art. And I didn't expect to see that. I didn't expect to see anyone kind of more than just who would just show up, in Austin. But he flew all the way from New York just to come watch this movie, That's a pretty big statement of I care about this film from Alex Gray. He must have spent $500, $800 like with planes and hotels just to come support this film. So after the film, he is happy to talk to everyone. He just wants to be there and soak in all the psychedelic community, And so I get a turn to talk to him, and he was very kind, and again, similar to Mitch. And I think a lot of these visionary guys are similar with they try to keep their inner child in contact, so he reminded me of a kid. Yeah, he's got gray hair, but he's younger than a lot of people we meet. You know what I mean? He's younger than a lot of 20-year-olds. In a good way.
The energy of a spirit, it's truly indescribable. And so I've met and been around Don Howard, and he's in the 70s, and to be around, our elders and have them be, friendly and kind and playful, but also know when to ground and hold their work and like be in that role. It's truly inspiring, man. Especially being I'm 27 now, and to kind of see like the potential of behavior, 40 years from now. It's so important to build relationships with people who are in, their 50s, 60s, 70s, and 80s, and not just any person, but the right people who like, you really do respect.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I think that the age thing isn't fully understood until you start to age yourself a little and you start to
Totally.
see how much time actually does make you wise. Because, you know, and it's also to being somewhat not around visionaries. Because, I wasn't around visionaries for the first 18, 19 years of my life. Everyone was just a normal person. Everyone just wanted to go to college, get a degree, have a 40-hour a week desk job, get married, have kids, and pass the lineage on. That was what I knew as life. But then you meet these guys that are changing the world, and you realize the lifestyle they live, and it's very different. You sacrifice a lot. You sacrifice family and friends and fun times for that deep work. But that deep work shifts society. Makes big change.
So true.
Yeah, very beautifully put. And it takes us, I mean, everybody can do it, but it takes a special person to do it at the magnitude that they've done it,
Mm-hmm.
and to be able to really, it's a true sacrifice, even at the level that we're at. I know the three of us sacrifice a lot to even be doing what we're doing. I mean, we're not out partying right now. We're building relationships. We're discussing and we're digging deep and we're sharing moments with people that we care about, and that transcends time. And these, like, I don't know the ripples that this moment will produce. I didn't know the
Oh,
ripple
I like
of being
that.
in that van with you. I didn't know that we'd
Mm-hmm.
be doing a fucking podcast 2 years later.
Oh
You know what I
yeah, the
mean?
van. Yeah, because I was driving you to the Corey Allen meetup.
Yeah.
That's again how we got a little more close after the
Which you invited me to,
Mopacho.
which is so freaking cool, man.
That's awesome.
I'm doing a podcast with Corey Allen on Friday.
Hey,
And
Corey's
so,
great. I just had a very amazing meditation journey with his new binaural beats.
dude, they're
So
so good.
go find that at Corey Allen
They're
website.
so good.
Google that. It'll
Deep
change your
work.
life. You gotta get that
So
deep
good.
work and meditation. It's for
Mhm.
deep work and meditation. So I've had success using it for both.
So the both of you, music and Kundalini. And I asked Steven kind of the fundamental aspects that he practices or helps people work on. What are some of the the beginning approaches that you help people with Kundalini?
um, Again, something Stephen did say, and I do agree, is posture. Like it's just sitting up straight for 5-10 minutes does a lot of good for your body, let alone doing all the breathing and all the stretching and all the mantra and stuff. So closing your eyes and sitting up straight, it's easy. It's like when you think about it, yet it's so hard. Some people just won't do it forever. Like they'll go years without doing that once. So I'm grateful that we can do that probably daily, if not daily, five days a week. You know what I mean? 5 days a week at least. We're sitting up straight and closing our eyes and soaking in the moment. You know what I mean? And relaxing. We get a lot of visual stimulus. We're looking at phones and blue screens and multiple of them at once. At least me, working at TimeWheel, and I've got a bunch of blue lights like looking at me at all times, and buzzing and like messages coming in, and
Yeah.
then sometimes it's just like, okay, I'm gonna go in the yard and close my eyes now.
That's the truth. Well, and when you experience the spectrum, you realize the importance, and you realize you're able to, mindfully feel when you're overwhelmed by that kind of sensation. And so it's funny how you kind of get a responsibility the more mindful you become.
Mm-hmm.
I think there's the infamous like Spider-Man quote. What was it? Something like,
Great power comes with great responsibility.
that's it. Yeah.
Mm-hmm. I agree. It is a powerful thing to know how to meditate. I want people to know that and be drawn to that because it can shift your life, man. Totally can.
You I don't know how much you would like to get into this, and please stop me at any time. But you mentioned that I don't remember exactly what, but pulled you out of depression. I don't know if it was
Mm-hmm.
meditation or Kundalini or 'cause
Um,
that's a powerful statement, dude.
yeah, absolutely. So, um, it's hard to grow up. You have growing pains and stuff through your teenage years, and you have heartbreak, and you're testing out girlfriends and money, and and not having a lot of success with those things can make you feel pretty down and in the dumps. And it's a little bit of society, and I would wonder what's wrong with me, thinking it's me, but it's society. I had to like kind of come to that realization that whoa, society is kind of the one messed up and putting the wrong pressures on me. It's not me that's messed up. So I had to like come to that realization through plant medicine and yoga and meditation and being around the right people. Definitely pulled me out to see that, hey, if you don't fit into that mold, you got to create your own reality, and you got to push that boundary. And that's what we've been doing. We've been creating reality, creating circles of friends that we get together and we feel good together, and not like we're bickering and like being negative.
Huge.
Yeah.
It's pretty cool. I think it's a pretty known fact, whether it's unconscious or conscious, but like the healing that we wish to produce in the world is oftentimes like what we have struggled with as a person. So for like a community in meditation and Kundalini to help bring you out of that moment, and now you're building communities and you're doing Kundalini, like you're helping plant that healing process back into the soil around you.
Yeah, I think the world needs that, and part of being an entrepreneur of any sort is look at the world and discover what it needs more of. And if it's something you're passionate about, fill that gap, you know? So I think it's cool. Kundalini is not a popular thing. So there's a lot of growing it can do.
There's a lot of growing. A lot of people don't even know what it is.
Exactly. So we're here to show them, we're here to like just show them that a happy life is possible. It's really not more complicated than that,
In any way that I can help you guys show the world, please let me know.
Absolutely. Yeah. We'll be in contact.
Yeah, no
We got the new track.
What so let's move into the music then.
Mm-hmm.
So how long have you been doing music?
Since I was about 15. So that would be 13 years now. And, I started, how did I get my keyboard? Okay, I remember now. A friend of mine, when I was like 13, played piano and was really good at piano, and he would play like Linkin Park songs. And I'd be like, it's so cool that he can just play these songs that I love, like I want to try that. So I got a keyboard and I started playing covers of like just popular songs like Linkin Park, which is actually like a band that uses a lot of piano. They actually use piano in like almost every song, at least for back in the day. R.I.P. Chester, man. He was a big inspiration to me. But
Yeah, for a lot of people.
yeah, absolutely. And so I'm playing piano, and we're doing covers, and then my friend Nick, he lives with Nick, he's his roommate. Okay. Yeah, he gets a drum set right around that time, and we get together, and I'm playing piano and he's playing drums, and we're like covering like popular songs when we're like 15 and just having fun. And then slowly his brother Jacob, who's the bassist of Something Fiction and Nick's the drummer of Something Fiction, which is our band, gets a bass, and he starts playing with us in a room, and we're just having fun. We're just kids having fun, as long as the adults let us, because it's loud, right? They give us like between 7 and 8 you can play, okay? Then it's done. It's off. And so we would do that as often as we can, and we just loved it. And we, of course, would watch music videos and big bands like on stages and stuff and say, wow, that's the dream right there. Like, always been drawn towards music, just looking up to those people. And slowly we start creating original material after just years and years of practice and covering and building our creative skills and building our technical instrument skills. And I moved from piano to synthesizers and drum machines and producing on a MacBook. And then we get into rap with Steven. And, we were doing rap with Steven even 10 years ago, but it really was comedy.
It was, yeah. Honestly, at the time, I was just, that was like how I knew it was the humor aspect, and that's kind of how it would come through with like my musical stuff. So when I said that I started recording like February 3rd, 2018, that really was the start. Like that was the big shift. But I feel like, yeah, I've always loved freestyling and interjecting humor in there in like a positive light. So that's great. Yeah, because there's clips where it's just like, are you serious right now? Just over the top, rapping out of a window, like hanging out of a window, like singing and like rapping, and just being crazy. But we've come a long way.
Right. So yeah, the first rap performance of Steven Samadhi was we were playing a joke on the neighborhood. So we get this giant speaker and we open the window and we turn the speaker up as loud as it goes, and we just hand the mic to Steven. And he's just singing and rapping, and of course we get in big trouble from the parents. But we were always into producing, because I filmed this with my little camera and we made a video and put it on YouTube of we're making a joke, you know what I mean? Like we've always been creative, but I think we've refined our vision as of the past number of years. Yeah.
Really good way to put that.
Mm-hmm.
Did you know at that time that you would be doing what you're doing right now?
Absolutely not. I mean, we hoped, but we didn't know. I hope I'd be doing music, but what's interesting is, like things happen in a very interesting way, and in a way that you do hope that they will go, as long as you don't stop hoping and don't stop trying. You can't just hope, you have to try too. But whatever you hope for, if you try towards that hope, like it'll happen. Essentially, it just takes time. Could take 1 year, could take 5, but just keep at it,
That's beautiful. Where
Yeah.
Light pump.
where do you want to go from here? Like, do you have a like a more direct line of vision? If you've refined it, kind of what are you working towards?
Like we really just want to see TimeWheel expand, our music reach expand, like let our music get out to more people, both digitally and in person. So I want to start doing more shows and bringing my energy that way to people. We do a bunch of shows already, but I want to do more, and I want to do them in different places of the country. So we're planning on doing that this year. Our first stop is the Flow State Summit, which I told you about, in Bellingham, Washington, which is a city close to Seattle. And I'm gonna be performing a set there, and Steven's gonna be teaching Kundalini yoga. It's gonna be an awesome,
cool.
awesome weekend. And then from there, I just hope for more and more of those opportunities to build. And if they don't, we're gonna make them happen anyway.
Oh, I like that.
You guys are for real. Two
Yeah.
of the best people I know, hands down,
Appreciate it, man.
without a doubt.
Thank you.
I respect you so much. I appreciate you both so much. And you really do both have my full support.
That's great.
Bro, you're so nice.
Yeah, you have our support too. Absolutely. It's a pleasure to be here, and I look forward to what's to come,
Do you have any last words, anything that you want to kind of share? Let the people know about anything?
Yeah, I mean, you guys can follow us, we're on all the social medias and our website, timewheel.net. Big shout out to Sheath, who is my brother's company that I co-founded with him. It's doing awesome stuff. Also in the flow state community, but more for apparel. And shout out to Raul and all the guys from Something Fiction, Nick and Jacob. That's our band. If you want to hear our latest album, The Gate That Lets You In, it's on SoundCloud, Spotify, iTunes, all the big ones. And my own stuff's on Xian, and my handle is Xian Archive.
Can you spell that?
Xian Archive. And that's pretty much where I'm at on all the socials. And yeah, if you're in Austin, San Antonio, you know, come chill with us at our monthly yoga events. We do a Shinrin Yoku Forest Medicine Kundalini Nature Walk, which is a lot of fun. And we go to the park and breathe and be in nature and let nature kind of wipe away all the kind of grime from society and the digital world, you know, which you should do weekly or monthly at the minimum. And that's kind of like a more Bodaishin event, and you can find that on social as well. So TimeWheel, Bodaishin, Sheath, Steven Samadhi, Something Fiction. We got a lot of projects going on.
You really do.
It's fun.
You really do.
I love it. It's
yeah, you both are continually working and producing many different forms of projects.
Yeah.
I guess one of the main reasons why I appreciate you guys and I respect you guys the way I do is you're working on many different avenues, but they're all lined up. It's a really fucking cool art form. And those are the projects that take time and years and patience and moves just little by little, but then when they come together, man, that's a beautiful formula.
Thank you, man. Absolutely. Yeah, I think, you know, if anything, we're just looking at the lifestyle that we want. You know, what do we want to do on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, and create, I wouldn't say a business around that, but it's almost like a business around that. You know, it's not about money. You know, I'm not teaching yoga to make money, but you have to have some kind of a format that you stick to, and that's the business aspect, you know. So
Xpand community. We have a major following here in Austin and San Antonio. If you want to connect with these two beautiful humans, please let me know. I will connect you or reach out to them personally. You will not be disappointed. They are two genuinely kind people, and I really appreciate you both being here.
Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Darren. You're the greatest.
Steven, Matt, appreciate you both. And
much love.
Until next time, much love. Peace.